I'm Charlie Munger. I'm 99 years old. I've been investing for over 70 years and I'm worth about $2.5 billion. But here's what nobody talks about. I once started a year with less than $0. Negative net worth, broke, divorced, drowning in debt, and watching my 9-year-old son die of leukemia while I couldn't afford proper medical treatment. That was 1962. I was 38 years old, rock bottom. So when people ask me, and they do ask me, Charlie, if you had to start 2026 with absolutely nothing, what would you do? I don't have to guess. I lived it. I clawed my way out of that hole once. And if I had to do it again today, starting this year with $0, I know exactly what I'd do. Not theory, not hope, not some motivational garbage about positive thinking. I'm talking about a specific step-by-step plan based on 70 years of actually doing this. A plan that works whether the economy is good or bad, whether the market is up or down, whether you're 25 or 55, because here's the truth, most people don't understand. Starting with nothing isn't your biggest problem. Your biggest problem is that you don't have a plan. You're making it up as you go. You're copying what broke people do, wondering why you stay broke. I'm about to give you the exact plan. I use the same principles that took me from negative net worth to billions. And if you're starting 2026 broke or nearly broke or just feeling behind, this might be the most important 19 minutes you spend all year. Because at the end of this, you're going to know exactly what to do month by month, dollar by dollar. No confusion, no excuses, just the plan. Let's begin. First, let me tell you something that might surprise you. If I had to start 2026 with $0 in my bank account, I wouldn't be scared. I'd be excited. Because starting with nothing gives you 3 massive advantages that rich people don't have anymore.
January 1st, 2026. While most people were nursing New Year's hangovers and making resolutions they would abandon by mid-month, someone we will call Marcus sat at his kitchen table staring at a bank balance that read $247. He was 34 years old. He had $18,000 in credit card debt, $31,000 in student loans, a car payment of $380 monthly, and rent of $1,400 due in 2 weeks. His take-home pay was $3,200 per month. After rent, car payment, minimum debt payments, insurance, utilities, and basic expenses, he had approximately $300 left each month, which he consistently spent on nothing in particular. Food delivery, subscription services, occasional drinks with friends, impulse purchases that felt insignificant individually but totaled thousands annually. Marcus had been in this position, more or less, for 8 years since graduating college. He had tried budgeting before. He had downloaded apps. He had read articles about saving money. Nothing stuck. Every year started with vague intentions to do better financially and ended with roughly the same bank balance, the same debt, the same feeling of being trapped. But something was different about January 2026. Marcus had recently turned 34, and a conversation with his father, who was approaching 70 and still working because he had no retirement savings, had shaken something loose. Marcus saw his future in his father's present, and it terrified him. So on January 1st, Marcus made a decision. Not a resolution, a decision. He would follow a specific plan for 12 consecutive months with no exceptions, no breaks, no rewards until the year was complete. He found this plan through research into how people actually built wealth from nothing, not through inheritance or lottery wins, but through systematic behavior change. The plan was unglamorous and difficult. It required sacrifice that would make him look poor to his peers even as he was building wealth. But Marcus committed to it completely, and what happened over the next 12 months changed his financial trajectory permanently. The plan had 7 phases, each building on the previous one. January's task was simple but psychologically brutal. Stop the financial bleeding immediately. Marcus spent January's 2nd listing every single expense, every subscription, every payment, every place money left his life. Then he made cuts that felt extreme. He canceled Netflix, Spotify, his gym membership, and 3 other subscriptions he had forgotten he was paying for. Total monthly savings, $80. He called his car insurance and raised his deductible, lowering his monthly premium by $35. He stopped all food delivery and committed to cooking every meal at home. He calculated this would save approximately $320 per month compared to his previous spending on restaurants and delivery. The most difficult cut was his car. Marcus loved his car. It was the nicest thing he owned, a symbol of having made it to professional adulthood. But the math was undeniable. The car payment of $380 plus insurance of $145 plus gas and maintenance averaging $120 meant the car cost him $645 monthly. He sold it at a loss, paid off the remaining loan, and bought a 15-year-old Honda Civic for $3,500 in cash, which he scraped together from the car sale proceeds and his meager savings. The Civic's insurance cost $65 monthly. Gas and maintenance averaged $90. His new total transportation cost was $150 $255 per month, a savings of $490. By February 1st, Marcus had freed up approximately $932 per month through expense cuts that fundamentally changed his lifestyle. His friends noticed immediately. When they suggested going out, he declined. When they asked why he had sold his nice car for a beat-up Civic, he offered vague explanations about financial planning. Some friends understood, many did not. A few stopped inviting him to things, assuming he could not afford to participate. They were right, but not for the reasons they thought. Marcus could not afford to participate in his old lifestyle because he was building a new one. February and March were dedicated to a single objective: increase income by any means necessary. Marcus's primary job as a mid-level administrative coordinator paid $3,200 monthly after taxes. This was not enough to build wealth at any meaningful pace, even with his reduced expenses. So Marcus added 2 additional income streams, treating them with the same commitment as his primary job. Every evening after his day job, from 6 to 10 p.m., Marcus worked as a freelance data entry specialist and virtual assistant for small businesses. He found clients on freelancing platforms charging $20 per hour and averaged 15 hours per week. This generated an additional $2,200 per month. Every Saturday and Sunday, Marcus worked a weekend gig. He started with food delivery, which was flexible and required no particular skill. He worked 8-hour shifts both days, earning approximately $18 per hour, including tips. This generated another $1,150 per month. Between his 3 income sources, Marcus was now earning approximately $5,550 per month after taxes, a 73% increase from his starting point. He was working roughly 70 hours per week, and the exhaustion was real. There were days he woke up and questioned whether this pace was sustainable, but he had committed to 12 months and he was only 8 weeks in. The psychological shift during this period was significant. Marcus discovered that he had been living far below his earning capacity, not because opportunities did not exist, but because he had never been willing to work hard enough to capture them. Every person he knew who complained about not making enough money was working 35 to 40 hours per week and spending their free time on entertainment. Marcus was working 70 hours and spending his free time sleeping so he could work 70 hours again the next week. By the end of March, Marcus had saved $3,100 after maintaining his reduced expenses and applying every dollar of increased income to savings. He had never had $3,100 in savings in his entire adult life. April through June had a single focus: build an emergency fund of $10,000 before investing a single dollar. This contradicted every piece of advice Marcus saw online. Financial influencers insisted he should start investing immediately, that every day he waited was costing him compound returns, that he was losing money to inflation by keeping cash. Marcus ignored all of it because he understood something they did not. He had been broke his entire adult life. The psychological weight of having no cushion, of living one unexpected expense away from debt spiral, was crushing. He needed to build the emergency wall before he could think clearly about investing. For 3 months, Marcus maintained the same brutal pace. Primary job, evening freelance work, weekend gigs, 70 hours per week, every week. His social life essentially disappeared. Friends who had stuck around stopped inviting him anywhere because he always said no. His apartment became a place to sleep between work shifts. He ate the same simple meals every day: oatmeal for breakfast, rice and beans and vegetables for lunch and dinner. He spent approximately $6 per day on food, $180 per month, while his former restaurant habit had cost him $400 to $500 monthly. The progress was visible week by week. By mid-April, his savings reached $5,000, and something shifted psychologically. Having $5,000 meant that if his car broke down, he could fix it without going into debt. If he got sick and missed work, he could survive for a few weeks. The desperation that had characterized his adult financial life began to recede, replaced by something he had not felt in years: security. By the end of May, he crossed $7,500. By June 25th, he reached his target: $10,000 in a high-yield savings account, earning approximately 4.5% annually. Marcus calculated what this $10,000 represented. At his current reduced expense level of approximately $2,300 monthly, this was 4.3 months of living expenses. If he lost all 3 income streams simultaneously, he could survive for over 4 months without income before going broke. This cushion changed everything. He was no longer making financial decisions from fear. He could evaluate opportunities rationally rather than desperately. The emergency wall was complete, and now he could start building wealth. July marked a critical transition. Marcus had $10,000 emergency fund and continued to generate $5,550 monthly income with expenses of $2,300. That meant he was saving $3,250 per month. The temptation to start buying stocks or cryptocurrency was intense. Every financial media source told him that keeping cash was stupid, that he needed to get his money working for him immediately. But Marcus followed the plan, which said that his next investment should not be in stocks, but in his own earning capacity. Marcus had identified that his primary limitation was his hourly earning rate at his main job. He was making approximately $20 per hour in a role that required no specialized skills. If he could increase his earning power at his primary job, he could reduce his reliance on working 70-hour weeks to maintain his savings rate. So in July, Marcus invested $2,400 of his savings into a professional certification program in project management and data analysis, skills that were directly applicable to higher-paying roles in his industry. The certification program required 120 hours of study over 8 weeks. Marcus scheduled it strategically, reducing his weekend gig hours slightly to accommodate study time. This temporarily reduced his income by about $400 monthly, but he viewed it as a necessary investment. By mid-August, he had completed the certification and immediately began applying for higher-level positions within his company and at competitors. The certification, combined with his 3 years of experience, made him competitive for roles paying $55,000 to $65,000 annually compared to his current $48,000. In late August, Marcus received a job offer for a project coordinator role paying $62,000 annually, a 29% increase from his current salary. His new take-home pay would be approximately $4,150 per month, an increase of $950. This single move, which cost him $2,400 and 8 weeks of reduced income, increased his annual take-home pay by $11,400. That is a 475% first-year return on investment, better than any stock or real estate investment he could have made. September brought new math. Marcus now earned $450 from his primary job, approximately $1,200 from reduced evening freelance work, about 3 hours per day instead of 4, and $600 from one weekend day instead of 2. His total monthly income was approximately $5,950. His expenses remained at $2,300. He was saving $3,650 per month while working roughly 55 hours per week instead of 70, a sustainable pace he could maintain indefinitely. By September, Marcus had rebuilt his liquid savings beyond the emergency fund to approximately $6,500 available for investment. The plan said this was the moment to start building passive income streams, and Marcus chose the most boring, reliable approach possible: dividend-paying index funds. He opened a brokerage account and invested $6,000 into a portfolio of dividend-focused ETFs that held hundreds of companies known for consistent dividend payments. The average dividend yield was approximately 3.8%. On $6,000 invested, a 3.8% dividend yield generates $228 annually, or $19 per month. This sounds insignificant, and in isolation it is. But Marcus's plan was not to invest $6,000 once. It was to invest $3,000 every single month going forward, building the dividend stream progressively. In September, he received his first dividend payment of $99. In October, after adding another $3,000 to his investment, he received $38. The numbers were small, but the psychological impact was massive. Marcus was receiving money he did not work for, money that arrived whether he was sleeping or working or doing anything else. Marcus also made a second passive income move in October. He realized that his new higher-paying job was entirely remote, meaning he no longer needed to live in his current moderately expensive city. He gave notice on his apartment and moved to a nearby smaller town where rent for a comparable space was $950 instead of $1,400. This move saved him $450 monthly, increasing his savings rate to $4,100 per month. Over 12 months, this geographical arbitrage would save $5,400 and allow him to invest significantly more. November is where most financial transformations fail, and Marcus knew it. He had been living lean for 10 consecutive months. He had missed countless social events. He had worked exhausting hours. He had driven a beat-up car while his friends upgraded to nicer vehicles. He had eaten simple meals while his social media showed everyone else at restaurants. The psychological weight of sustained discipline was heavy, and the holidays were approaching with all their expensive social expectations. Marcus felt the pull intensely. He had $12,000 in his emergency fund and $15,000 in invested assets. He was earning $5,050 monthly and living on $1,850 after his move to the cheaper apartment. He could afford to relax a little, to treat himself, to enjoy the fruits of his discipline. But the plan said November was the test, the moment when people break and undo months of progress with holiday spending justified as reward for hard work. Marcus made specific commitments to prevent breakdown. He told his family in advance that he was not participating in gift exchanges this year, that he was building his financial foundation and would resume normal gift giving next year. Some family members understood, others were hurt or offended. His mother told him he was being selfish. Marcus explained his long-term plan and stuck to his decision. For gifts he did give, he spent time instead of money, writing detailed letters to people he cared about, cooking meals, offering help with projects. He calculated what the average person in his social circle spent on holidays, approximately $1,500 on gifts, travel, special meals, and seasonal activities. By spending less than $200, Marcus saved $1,300 that went directly into investments. Over his lifetime, assuming that $1,300 grew at 8% average annual returns for 30 years, this single decision to skip one holiday season of traditional spending would compound into approximately $13,000. The discipline test was painful, but Marcus passed it. December marked the end of year one, and Marcus took time to calculate exactly where he stood compared to 12 months earlier. On January 1st, 2026, he had $247 in savings, $18,000 in credit card debt, $31,000 in student loans, and a car loan. His net worth was approximately negative $49,000. On December 31st, 2026, he had $12,000 in emergency savings, $24,000 in invested assets, generating $76 per month in dividends, zero credit card debt, $28,000 remaining in student loans, and no car loan. His net worth was approximately $8,000 positive. In 12 months, Marcus had shifted his net worth by $57,000 from negative $49,000 to positive $8,000, but the transformation went beyond numbers. His monthly expenses had dropped from approximately $3,100 to $1,850 through lifestyle changes and geographic arbitrage. His monthly income had increased from $3,200 to $5,150 through career advancement and strategic side income. His monthly savings rate had gone from essentially zero to $4,100. He had built skills, certifications, and work history that made him more valuable in the job market. Most importantly, Marcus had proven to himself that he could execute a plan. For his entire adult life, he had been someone who started things and quit, who made plans and abandoned them, who knew what he should do but did not do it. 12 months of sustained discipline, of choosing the hard right thing over the easy wrong thing every single day, had fundamentally changed his identity. He was no longer someone who wanted to be financially successful. He was someone who was systematically building wealth through proven behaviors. In December, Marcus planned year 2. With his foundation built, he could now be more aggressive. His goals for 2027 included maxing out his Roth IRA contribution of $7,000, investing an additional $42,000 in taxable brokerage accounts, paying off his remaining student loans, and potentially saving for a down payment on a small rental property. Year 1 was about survival and foundation. Year 2 was about acceleration. By the end of 2027, Marcus projected his net worth would exceed $80,000 and his passive dividend income would reach approximately $150 per month. Marcus's story demonstrates several truths about building wealth from nothing that most people refuse to accept. The first truth is that starting from zero is actually an advantage if you are willing to exploit it. When you have nothing to protect. You can take risks, work extreme hours, live below any standard, and make changes that comfortable people cannot make. Marcus worked 70-hour weeks for 6 months. Someone with an established lifestyle, a family, a house, a comfortable routine cannot do that, but someone starting from zero can. The second truth is that wealth building requires time compression. Most people think they can build wealth by making small, consistent changes over 30 or 40 years. That works, but it requires starting early and never deviating. For someone starting from zero in their 30s, time compression is necessary. You must compress 5 years of normal effort into 1 year of maximum effort. Marcus did in 12 months what most financial advisors would say takes 3 to 5 years, built an emergency fund, eliminated consumer debt, started investing, increased income significantly, and developed multiple income streams. The third truth is that social isolation is the price of rapid wealth building. Marcus essentially disappeared from his social circle for a year. He declined invitations, stopped participating in expensive social activities, and became the friend who was always busy or always broke, depending on how people interpreted his behavior. Some friendships survived this year, some did not. But Marcus recognized that the people who could not support his year of discipline were not people he needed in his life long term. The fourth truth is that the plan matters more than motivation. Marcus did not feel motivated most days. He felt tired, he felt deprived, he felt envious watching peers enjoy themselves while he worked and saved, but he had committed to a specific plan with defined steps and measurable outcomes. When motivation failed, which it frequently did, the plan kept him moving forward. This is why most people fail at wealth building. They rely on motivation, which is temporary and unreliable, instead of systems, which are permanent and reliable. The fifth truth is that most people will not do what Marcus did. They will read this story, they will agree it makes sense, and they will change nothing. They will keep working 40-hour weeks and wondering why they stay broke. They will keep spending everything they earn and hoping something magical happens. They will make New Year's resolutions and break them by February. And next year at this time, they will be in exactly the same financial position, wondering why nothing ever changes. Marcus's transformation from negative $49,000 net worth to positive $8,000 net worth in 12 months is not a miracle. It is math plus discipline over time. The math is simple. Earn more, spend less, invest the difference consistently. The discipline is hard. Maintain the behavior when you do not feel like it, when your friends are having fun without you, when you are exhausted from working multiple jobs, when holidays and social pressure tempt you to break your plan. Most people can do the math. Very few people can maintain the discipline. If you are starting 2026 or 2027 or any year from financial zero, Marcus's plan is available to you. Stop the bleeding by cutting expenses to bare minimum. Increase income through multiple streams and maximum effort. Build an emergency wall before investing. Invest in your earning capacity first. Start building passive income streams. Resist the discipline test when it comes. Plan your next year while others are celebrating. The plan works because it is built on principles that have worked for decades. Spend less than you earn, increase what you earn, invest the difference in productive assets, repeat until wealthy. But you have to start. And starting means making decisions today that your future self will thank you for and your current self will hate. It means working when you want to rest, saving when you want to spend, and prioritizing a future you cannot see over a present you can feel. Most people will not do this, which is why most people never build wealth, even in a country where the tools and information are freely available to everyone. The difference between Marcus on January 1st, 2026 and Marcus on December 31st, 2026 was not access to secret knowledge. It was the decision to act on known principles with sustained discipline regardless of feeling or circumstance. This is Harper Mumbling, and if Marcus's story showed you that building wealth from zero is possible in 12 months if you are willing to pay the price in discipline and effort, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with anyone who needs to see that their starting point does not determine their ending point, their sustained behavior does. Leave a comment about whether you are willing to commit to 12 months of maximum effort to transform your financial life, or whether you prefer comfortable poverty to uncomfortable growth. Turn on notifications for future videos documenting the real outcomes of financial discipline over meaningful time periods. Thank you for watching. And remember, the plan is simple, the execution is hard, and most people will choose to stay broke rather than do hard things for 12 consecutive months, which is exactly why the few who do will build wealth while the many who don't will keep wondering why nothing ever changes.